Yo, people, welcome back to another episode of Football Heritage with me, your boy Josh, RA, and Carl. Denzel might be coming through later, so watch out for that. But this one's going to be a bit short, a bit sweet, a bit to the point, innit? A lot of things are happening in football, but I think now narratives are starting to settle in. Things are starting to build up. We're starting to get to I wouldn't say business end, but we're starting to get to a more serious point. So if you like the content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with your people. At the time of recording, I think we're at 68 subscribers. Let's shut up. Let's get to 100, 200, 500, the ones there. Let's keep growing. Let's keep providing you guys with content. But let's get straight into it. So the biggest game of the weekend in England was United versus Leicester. And United got outclassed, outsourced, outfought, and out everything. And as usual, when United lose, it turns to Ollie in, Ollie out. We want to stay away from the almost results-based analysis and try and look at things in totality. But I think there is a sense of growing feeling that it's inevitable that Ollie is going to go. I just want to get from you guys, how many games would you give Ollie to prove himself? And not necessarily is the criticism overborne and too much at times, but do you think there is genuine cause for concern for United right now? And what can Ollie do to rectify this if he is given time? So I'm going to start with Carl. What's your thoughts on the whole, Ollie has to be sacked? Do you think he should be sacked immediately, or do you think you would give him more time?
The thing is, with the whole Ollie out, people have been Ollie out for quite a while, but it's past that where the point, because he has stayed and the board has trusted him, I do think he's gonna have to the end of the season. If I'm being honest, like everyone's saying Ollie out now, but to get like who? But it's easy to say Ollie out right now when they're losing, but I do think the board have just put their trust in him, and they made it clear from a while that they're going to give him a bit of time, and I think he will have to the end of the season personally. In my opinion, as you ask, I don't think he's a good manager personally. I don't think he's the person to win them the trophies they need, the Premier League right now. However, he still can win trophies this season. People forgetting, like they're not down and out as bad as they think. They've had a poor start to the Premier League in perspective of who they have in their team, but you have to realize that they haven't found the perfect formation yet. They haven't found the perfect setup yet. It's taken only a while, but I said I do think they can win trophies this year. I said in the previous pod, I still think they can win trophies, but so I do think they should give them to the end of the season if I'm being realistic.
I hear that. All right, what about you? What do you think United need to improve on? So let's first question, obviously, would you give Ollie more time? And even if you weren't, but what are the things you would look at for Ollie to improve on to extend his stay?
Personally, I wouldn't give Ollie more time. Weirdly enough, I do think he's a good enough, decent manager. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's awful or anything. I think he's decent. But he just lacks that, like I always say every time, he lacks that final thing to get him like ahead of to put him on the level of like Pep, Klopp, coaches like that. Like he just has enough to keep United afloat, like I always say. And like United are in that phase where they never really will be that bad for them to be like, okay, Ole has to go. In this coming runs, he's going to obviously win a couple games. United will look a bit, good for a while. And then, so they're just going to be on that on and off form, which is why Ole would never really look. Wait, Josh, are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. Don't worry.
So that's why Ole would never really look like United would never really look bad enough for them to be like, okay, Ole is definitely like so obvious that he has to go. And they never really will be that good for them to, cross that line and win. Like Carl is saying, they might win trophies, but, they don't just want to win any trophies. They'll be looking at the Premier League and the Champions League. And United winning any of those two trophies seems very unlikely. I mean, they're playing Champions League tomorrow. We'll see how they do there. But in the Premier League, you see other people, other teams that look stronger than them, and just doesn't look very promising. What does Oli have to do? I don't really think there's anything he can do. I just think he's just not like he's just
guy, it's just not the guy in it.
Not the guy in it. He's not. I don't want to say tactically inept because like he is able to. He was. I would say there was a time that he was able to select a good squad, put together a good like his team. Now it just looks very awful. Signing Ronaldo put more pressure on him, and I'm 100% sure he was not the one who wanted Ronaldo. So obviously you can look at it and see, it's a bit. I wouldn't want to say sad, but signing Ronaldo has put an enormous amount of pressure on him. And I don't know if I believe the rumors if they were trying to get a midfielder before Ronaldo, the whole Ronaldo thing came about. If that's the case, then you would say he's a bit unfortunate because United with a new midfielder would probably look slightly better. And I don't know, the Ronaldo thing, we'll touch on that like a lot later. But yeah, I don't know what he can do. He's just not able to do anything. Should probably just take a break after the United job. But another thing is I also just don't see them sacking him. So he is very comfortable like with the board. It would take a lot for him to go still. And that would be like by December, let's say they've lost an additional 4 games or 5 games. Yeah, I feel like that would be something. And you think they haven't played a lot of the big 6 teams, so is it possible that he does go before December? I doubt it. I think he'll still like be here by the end of the season. But if they don't win anything and if they don't finish in the top 2, have a good run in the Champions League, then he's probably going to go. But we'll see from there.
Bro, if they don't get out of the Europa League, bro, the man's are gone now, bro. He's gone. But
if they don't get out of their group, then he's probably that's probably going to be. If they don't get out of their group and then they don't win the Europa League, yeah, there's no way I can't see him surviving that.
Nah, I think it's just
even not getting out of his group.
Yeah, not getting out of the group is enough because you can't be playing Europa League football with Ronaldo, man. That's
It's not likely.
Yeah, no, I agree what Ori said. I think he's at a stage where he's comfortable with the board, like, and it's taking a toll in a bad way for him because you can see you after the games, like, he doesn't seem that stressed. He doesn't seem stressed at all. Obviously, I know everyone.
No, let's be real. Yeah, there's an over analysis of Oli, like his character and demeanor. Like, Oli is not really the. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just like the way social media analyzes him is just very like critical. If he doesn't smile, yeah, man are gonna be onto him like, oh, you don't care about the club. He's just vibes in there and stuff like that. And that's what I mean by like the over analysis of Oli, man. I feel sorry for him because I feel like they've gone past the management stuff and more into like the personal side, innit? Of just like they say he's boring, he's inarticulate and stuff like that. And I guess to a point I do hear it because he doesn't sound like a guy that's brimming with knowledge, if you get what I'm saying. It's not like Pep where people are just fascinated by whatever Pep does. It's like Oli's just Oli in it. But I don't know, man. I feel for him at the same time.
I hear you. I think he just lacks that obsessive nature that everyone is kind of looking at coaches and stuff. And I just don't think that's something that you can just attain. I think it just comes naturally. When you see coaches like Pep, Klopp, even Zidane, Conte, even Chelsea's coach, like they have this thing about them where like they have this obsessive nature where like they pay so much attention to detail and things like that. And Ole does to some extent, obviously I'm not going to say because he's smiling, but just with the decisions he makes in the team, with how he puts his squad together, the substitutions he makes, he just seems a bit laid back. He doesn't seem to worry about so many details. Like I always keep on saying every time, like the midfield, like there is no sane manager in this world who doesn't obsess over their midfield, who doesn't like try and make it perfect, who doesn't try and attain perfection. Like it's literally the heart and soul of football, having a midfield, because they affect how you switch from defense to attack in the transitions and everything. And every coach you see, they're always so obsessed with that, trying to have the perfect midfield, having to have their perfect midfield, the shape, everything. And he just hasn't seemed to work on that at all since he's been in United. He has not made a central midfield signing besides Van de Beek, who he isn't playing. So I don't know. It just doesn't I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me how how he hasn't signed the central midfielder that he wants to play. It's like I don't see the logic in that. So yeah, he just lacks that obsessive like nature about him. And yeah, it's just not looking very good for him right now, but we'll see.
Now you made a what's it called? You made an interesting point, especially Ronaldo in it. Even though I like to banter Ronaldo, but Ronaldo is a goal scoring phenom in it. Like the guy's just gonna get goals, but you gotta look at it from an overall team perspective. Ronaldo, I always say to me in 2021, overall he's an average football player because outside of his goal scoring, he isn't gonna run the channels. He isn't really gonna bring players. He isn't really gonna bring people into play. He's very much a limited.
You know what, Josh? I would say I agree with you in terms, but I would say like he's average in some certain systems. So there are systems where like he would look like, on top of the world because he's doing exactly what he's just meant to do, a goal scorer. So if Ronaldo was going to go City, I would see him getting 20 plus goals very comfortably and just scoring because City's team is all full of technical players and more or less midfielders. Like even their wide players are midfielders. Grealish is a midfielder more or less. And like, so everyone is just trying to create. And if Ronaldo was in that team, it would just, that's all he would need to do, just score goals.
But, can I say something about that though? Because couldn't you say, obviously they're not entirely similar stylistically, but Pep had the same issue with Aguero, where Aguero initially was just a goal scorer. And Pep dropped him for Jesus because Jesus offered him more in terms of like obviously the pressing side and the fact that he was a little bit more fluid with his movement. I don't think Pep would like a Ronaldo in his team. I don't think he would like him at one bit because Ronaldo in 2021 is very limited in what he can offer you.
I don't think you're right. I don't think Pep would like him in his team, but I don't think Pep has a choice because when Pep was playing in what's it called again? When Pep was in Barcelona, and then he did the Messi at false line. Yeah, like what Pep ideally wants is no strikers. I'll be with you. Pep wants everyone in the attack to be with like a midfielder, play like a midfielder.
Is the positional
like,
player he likes players that will be able
yes,
to
like that.
Yeah.
But when, especially when you come to a league like the Premier League, if you're not having that main guy in front who is as sharp as a fox and whose job is just to score goals, you would struggle. And obviously, if Pep was, last season, he didn't have much of what's it called again? He didn't have much of Aguero. He was more or less relying on his Jesus and stuff like that. And they still look decent enough. But I don't know. I feel like, especially this season, a lot of the games that they have drop points in, you'd consider that, if they had someone in there who could just, be behind the lines, who could just be getting those goals, would they be better off? But I don't know, to be fair. I know personally Pep doesn't like, those types of players who just, have just the goal scoring types. But I feel like he would get to a point where he'll have no, choice. I see them going for Haaland next summer. And personally, as much as I like Haaland, I really don't think he offers also that much. But it's just those one of the things that you just have to get a player who can score goals. Back to the Ronaldo on the United thing. Ronaldo was never going to fit United's system really because they needed someone who could, press, run channels, everything. That's why I was keeping like that's why I kept on saying that United should have gone for what's it called again, Ings, because I was just a huge fan of Ings and stuff like that. But they just couldn't let Ronaldo go to City more or less, so they had to hijack the deal and everything. But personally, I don't think Ole wanted Ronaldo, so that is, like I said, I don't say sad, but it is kind of sad if like that would be the reason for his downfall because like he wasn't the one who asked for Ronaldo. Ronaldo was how I see it because I don't know what's going on behind, but I feel like Ronaldo was more or less forced on him, just like you have to sign Ronaldo. Like we can't let him go to City and stuff like that. But yeah.
And I hear that, man. And you've mentioned about the Pogba thing that they should sort Pogba. And it just feels like they're just trying to fit everybody in. Like Pogba, I've always said I don't see him as a double pivot player. I don't think he has a defensive discipline or just the understanding of like marking your spaces in it. Because I've been watching some clips of Pogba where obviously sometimes he mistimes tackles and stuff like that, but he's just not tracking runners. You know, he doesn't offer the intensity that you want. And
yeah.
And and this is the thing. I don't want to bash Pogba because he's not. You don't want him to do that. And this way, like sometimes, you know, your profile as a player can put you in trouble. Pogba 6'3", he has a great engine, so it looks like he can be play that double pivot role, but he doesn't have the defensive discipline to play that role. And I've always said in that United team, the way they like to play, I think he's best out wide where he can just drift almost as the third midfielder. So like when I do look at Oli, even though at times you could say he's put it on himself, you do feel a bit sorry for him because he's almost having to shoehorn so many attacking players in at one time, innit? So it's not really surprising why they look so impressed, really. So the reality is he probably will get sacked because, I mean, I don't see how he can make it work. He would have to drop some big names in order to make this work. And if he drops them, you might see a squad mutiny, and I think he's in quite a compromised position. Do you think there's any way for him, or do you think it's?
I think there's a way. I think there's a way because he's on the side. The thing is, he's on the side of the board. So and now it is a results game. So if for some random miracle he puts out some solid team and it's up performing, now to Christmas they win every game, get out of their group stage, have a little run in the Champions League, then the fans will be back on his side. That's the thing. Man United fans, I know they're right now they're quite a lot against Ole, but in reality is when there's winning, and Ronaldo scored the goal the other week, there was love and laugh. Like there was love in United. That is the facts. So but in reality, Ole, he's on a downhill. And to reverse that in his own capabilities, I don't think he has the facilities for that. I saw some interesting points the other day about in terms of what you guys said about in the midfield. Back in the days when Man United were winning, it wasn't always the star players in defense and midfield. When there's winning with guys like Fletcher, O'Shea, like Neville, these players were around star players, but they're hard-working guys. There's people in the Premier League that they could look at. Guys like McGinn are very, very great players for that team in the midfield for certain reasons. In midfield, work rate, defensive awareness is all there. There's options for them out there in midfield. Around, I know they missed out on Camavinga and all this kind of stuff. That's a whole other story. But there's options for them in midfield where they can improve in January. They can switch things around. Paul Pogba, I'm not against it. I'm not mad at him being in the pivot or in the midfield. I know he's played left wing a bit. But obviously with Rashford back, they got Sancho now. He can't really be dropping all their players just to fit him in left wing. His days at Man United are slowly coming to an end, which is a shame because it's not his fault at all. He's still a quality player. But so I would say there is slight slim chance for Ole if he does get things right maybe in January and this lead up to December, as already said. But at the moment is the curve downhill is just too sharp. It's sharp. And so we have to see how the season goes, innit?
100%, man. I like Oli in it. As I've always said, I think he's a good manager. There have always been some pressing issues with United, and especially this season has been obviously in the turnovers. You know, when they lose possession, they just get easily destroyed, really. And I mean, if he can't rectify that, then I mean, yeah, he has to go in it. But I don't think you can take away from the job that he's done. I think he's done a good job to steady United and put them in the position they are in. But sometimes you're not always the man to push it forward, in it. So if that's the case, it is what it is. It is what it is. Next topic now, and I've been talking about this for a while as well. Lukaku, and I've been talking about Chelsea's attacking free, or just the way Chelsea attack. And you've been seeing it's not really conducive for Lukaku and the way they create for him. You know, I feel like there's a lack of fluidity, especially in the front three. I think it's too rigid. I feel like, especially at the start, what we were doing, we were almost playing Lukaku as a target man. You know, playing the ball to him with his back to goal, looking for him to bring players in. When Lukaku sometimes at his best is when he's running into spaces. Like when Lukaku's running at you, face front, bro, there's not a play you want to see like when he's running straight at you. And I feel like we've kind of limited Lukaku in the way that he can obviously play and just his overall game. And now he's gone 6 games without scoring a goal. So, Carl, what's your thoughts on Lukaku's form and what can be done to rectify this issue?
Yes, I said this when he first won the game without a goal at the start of the season. Some of his best goals of his career have been running in behind. He's not just a guy doesn't have to just be a target man. His best goal for Chelsea right now was on the counter attack, the one where Kovacic passed it to him on the break, on the counter. He can run in behind. He's not right now. I think it is too stagnant. It's kind of stagnant. It's not his fault. It's not. I know it. Well, it's balanced, but it's not completely his fault. The creativity in and around him is him back to goal. Where the wingers will succeed more than he will, and the midfielders will succeed more than he will in that position where he is. I'm not mad at the 6 games not scoring. I'm not actually mad at it because in the fact is they're still the top of the league. Like you can't be crazy at Liverpool. Remember they went the year without Firmino scoring all this kind of stuff. It can work with a striker doing the hold up play, but I think Lukaku has way more to his game. And my only criticism of Thomas Tuchel is that he hasn't been able to bring in Lukaku into the game. I've always had questions over Chelsea's creativity. I think Werner, I liked when Werner and Lukaku was up top. I liked it. There's something about it where it just seemed a bit more fluid. Werner was adding something to the game, So now we have to see how it goes. I'm expecting goals against that team, Malmo in the Champions League and Norwich. If there's no goals in them 2 games, then us Chelsea fans we will be angry, and we do have to start questioning like what's going on with Tuchel. Why is he not bringing in Lukaku into the game?
I've got a question, Carl. Are there Chelsea fans against Tuchel on Twitter?
Yeah, there's always going to be fans against Tuchel, because with our defense outscoring the attack, and obviously people being against the 5 at the back and stuff. I think people getting a bit too worked out about the whole 5 at the back with defensive midfielders. I think people getting a bit excited. It's really not. It's not that deep. It's been working for Tuchel. But yeah, I don't really understand why people are going against Tuchel. But we do have a serious problem with our forwards. Big money. This the fact is, it is big money spent up front, and they're getting outscored by the defenders. That's just the facts. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ari? What's your thoughts on Lukaku's form and stuff?
Yeah, basically called him spot on. There is more to his game. He has been a bit limited in terms of like the style of play that Chelsea have been, running with. It doesn't really bring him into the game too much. I think was against who did he play before Brentford, before the international break? Southampton, I think.
Yeah, he's Southampton. That's right. Yeah, Southampton.
Yeah, there was a lot of time that I always just saw him just trying to hold up play. And he just sometimes he couldn't do it properly. Sometimes he just couldn't see the ball. And I also feel like Chelsea, especially in the Spurs game that I did watch, there were a lot of times that like he was open space. Sometimes he wouldn't get the ball. I kind of feel they haven't been playing to his strengths. But I don't think Chelsea should be too worried. Eventually, he would just start naturally scoring again, get his goals in. Although like the Chelsea's system, it is, I get why it could be worrying a bit for fans. Have really no negative thing to say about it per se, but the only thing I do say about things like formations like this is that like they always just come to a time in the season where it does start to fail and it doesn't work out the way like it should. It always just breaks down just because you have to maintain that same defensive awareness and level for the whole of the season, and it does, wear and tear on the players and stuff like that. So it's more or less just let's see how long he runs. Hopefully, for Chelsea fans, he runs for the whole season and probably win it. But I see Chelsea having a bit of a drop off this season just because of performance levels and all of that. And in that trying moment is where you would need someone like Lukaku, to just be scoring, doing more or less what he can do up front. But yeah, for now, top of the league, there really is no pressure per se. That's why no one has really been coming, for the fact that he hasn't scored in 6 games. But if if Chelsea were like lower in the table, people would they would have been coming more at him and stuff like that. But yeah, let's just see, how he does and stuff like that. He should be getting goals against Malmo and Norwich, but yeah. Let's just see how everything goes for him. But yeah, nothing to worry about too much for now.
Yeah, fair enough. I heard that. Let's even go into your team, Arsenal. They played yesterday. I didn't watch it, but I just want to get what was your thoughts on the game, and I know you were quite frustrated with the performances. What in particular was of annoyance to you when you're watching?
So I'll just keep it very simple. We started with a 4-3-3, so Partey playing as a 6 and ESR and Odegaard in midfield, which I have said many times that would never work. Being because Partey isn't a defensive midfielder, like I always say, he can play as a defensive midfielder, but it's not his position. Like, especially worst case, playing as the only holding midfielder. So he was the lone 6 and he was in the middle of that house of defense. And he's just not that guy for quick transitions. And, he just, doesn't play like that. I see him more as an 8, someone who goes from box to box, attacking, coming back to defend and stuff like that. Not someone who just sits deep and tries, to break out of, defensive phases and stuff like that. So that was one problem. He obviously all showed in the second half when he lost possession and then Palace went to go and score. We started the game well. After that, we just lost, which is something that's been happening to us recently, where we start again very well and then we just get phased out. What else? Then Lukonga came on, and obviously Lukonga and Partey, I also think that it's not balanced as well. They're both similar players. Neither of them sits deeper. What we did kind of miss was Xhaka in that midfield because, he's the one who can sit deeper and help in transitions and stuff like that. What else? Yeah, 2 individual errors. They lost the ball, went on to score, and not much you can do about that. But it is kind of an Arteta for starting with a 4-3-3, and the Partey Lukonga pivot as well. Not a huge fan of it. Besides that, I don't really know. This was a very huge opportunity for us to, close the gap to the top 4, even to the top of the league, just to at least not be so far off. But we couldn't take that. And I think Villa at home. Are we playing them at home? I'm not sure. But Villa this Friday. Yeah, Villa this Friday it's going to be a very it's going to be a very tight moment in terms of where I really stand on the club and where I stand on Arteta as well, because I know Xhaka is missing and stuff, and he was a key member of our midfield, but all these kind of things by now you should already have preparations back up, for things like that. You should always expect all your players to get injured every time you enter a season, because injuries could just always happen at any time. But let's just see how we look against Villa. Ideally, I think we should just start Partey and Elneny. I'm not a huge fan of Elneny, but he's the only suitable backup for Xhaka that we do have. And let's just see how that goes. But not very promising. Not a very good game from our side.
What about Palace? Did you see anything?
Palace. Yeah, Palace did look good. They really did hold us at bay a lot. There were times they kept possession well, and they knew when to keep possession well, which is obviously how they got their 2 goals. When they when they always catch us in on the break or just like a loose ball and stuff like that, they always have a very good pattern of play to work their way towards our goal. And it worked well, 2 times, and other times as well that obviously they didn't score. And yeah, I was a bit skeptical of Vieira when he did get the Palace job. He started as well. I never really thought he was a good coach, and he actually has been surprising me. He has been playing good football. He's been also quite unlucky. The Brighton one, they probably should have won that game, scored last minute. I would have said they should probably have won the one against us as well, but I just wouldn't say that just because I think they should have gotten a red card earlier in the game because there was a tackle against Saka that was very bad, and I think they got a red card. Yeah. So that's why I wouldn't say like they deserve to win that game, but like outside of that, they did play like very good football in certain phases and stuff like that. And yeah, Vieira has actually been impressing me. He's looked way better than I thought he would. And yeah, I think they're on what now? 8 points or something, 9. Yeah, and yeah, they look like they would probably try and push for top mid-table finish, so probably close to top half. But yeah, they've looked impressive like for the few recent games that they've played, and hopefully he gets that much desired win again very soon. I know the last one was against Spurs or something, but yeah, he'll be trying to win another game again. But yeah, they look good.
Good. Final topic before we end. And it just came to my mind a couple of days ago because one of my flatmates is a Leeds fan, and obviously he went to the game and they lost 1-0 against Southampton. And apparently there's real worry within the fan base of a potential relegation battle. And there's always been the from an outside perspective of Leeds that they lack quality outside of players like Phillips, Bamford and stuff like that, who were injured for the game against Southampton. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that because no one really mentioned about Leeds in the relegation battle. But do you think it's just early season blues, or do you think there is something there that might be true about Leeds this season? So, Carl, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I always have my problems with Leeds. I don't want to be too harsh on them, but their system is reliant on the work rate of their players, very much so, and that's the way they've always been set out. And the way they set out is pushing forward and like outscoring the opponent, which causes for their defense speaks leaky at times. And this season they just haven't got off to. They haven't been scoring the right enough goals. Like last season, the reason why they did decent is because when it was overloading up front, it was working. Like there was managing to outscore. They might concede a couple goals, but they would score 3. But this season they've been poor. Like there's nothing much going on, and it's resulted in them losing by thin margins. Like we can look at result: Southampton 1-0, West Ham 2-1, Newcastle like 1-1, Burnley 1-1. Like it's poor. It's very poor, and these are not great teams that they're losing to. So I think they're in some troubles this year. Whereas the system, as I already said, every system has to kind of come to an end, and there just needs to be something else to it with a team. I don't know if it's whether it's possession problems or they're kind of lacking quality in places. But that system of kind of overloading up front, I've never been too much of a fan of it because I kind of like we came from Mourinho days, so I like discipline in teams, and I think they do like that discipline. But at the end of the day, we have to be honest. Leeds, they've done well so far since they've been in the Prem. With the players of their caliber, they've done well, and the manager's done well to get enough out of them. So I think if they can remain safe, like it's not terrible. I know they're at the bottom, 17th now. It's not the end of the world. It's not actually the end of the world.
It's not. It's early season blues, you could say, but I do believe in the fact that they probably do lack quality outside of their first 11. Like there's a lack of quality depth, and the drop off might be a bit too vast, especially if someone like a Bamford's injured. I don't know who their second choice is. If Phillips is out. But I know Leeds have a good academy, so they can focus on that and maybe look at integrating more of them in. But They have to be careful. That's what I would say, but yeah, we'll see. But what about you, Ari? What's your thoughts on Leeds?
Yeah. I agree with everything you've been saying. Yeah. Also, there's also the thing about when a team comes into the Prem, they outdo the expectations, and then the next season there's a small drop off. I think we saw that recently with Sheffield. I think that just naturally always happens a lot of times. Just because I mean, there is the you know whatever people call it promotion juice or less, like when you do come in, you feel very hyped up, from winning especially teams who win the championship the year before, they feel like, amped up, able to outsee the expectations and stuff like that. And then the next season, it's like what they more or less fighting for. It's like, they don't really, have any, what's it called again, purpose, like besides like proving a point and stuff. I don't see them getting relegated though. I think that's a bit too. I think there would be a couple games where they would just be able to have quality over the opponents. And obviously when they meet teams who are also around that relegation side with them, they should be able to take points against those teams. Yeah, like first that last season, obviously we saw them like score a lot of goals, but they were having troubles, defending and stuff like that. And that it's always very worrying in, like Carl said, with systems like that, because when you're not able to score goals, when you're not able to take chances, then you'll just be conceding and not scoring. And when you concede and not score, you lose many games. And you find yourself in relegation position. So they would have to tweak something very soon. He played a very weird formation against Southampton. I think it was 3-3-3-1. And I don't know, man. Like, I know Bielsa is all for trying, new things and stuff, but sometimes his formations do look a bit worrying, and just like how they play does seem worrying. But yeah, let's just see what happens to them. I personally don't think they'll get relegated, but they might just hover around there, 15th, 16th, something like that. But I don't think they'll get relegated. But yeah, it is a bit worrying though, how they would build from this and stuff. But yeah, let's just see how they do.
Let's just see it for real, man. But yeah, guys, yo, this is a quick one. Obviously, not all of us were here this week. A lot of things come up, so sorry about that, people. But maybe next week, full house. But yeah, I think that's it for us this week. You know the usuals: like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so that you're up to date with everything coming on. But yeah, people, we out.